apparently what's been going on is that there have been power fluctuations to some of the machines, and that's when they apparently have been operating intermittently, but it's kind of hard to piece this together as people come out, because in fact there are so few people coming out. Earlier they were coming in and they were just leaving. There were people who were just walking away, saying that they didn't have time. They had to get to work.
Well, there have been a number of problems there this morning. One problem is that one of the voting machines has gone in and out. We've heard reports of that. The biggest problem we've heard about is that they don't have provisional ballot affirmation forms, which means that people are casting provisional ballots without the voter signature and the election official signature, and that means the ballot won't count.
It's kind of like an affidavit. It's supposed to be accompanied with the form. Every time they fill out a provisional ballot, they're supposed to sign a specific Ohio affirmation. And here is what the form is.
Where you going, man? That was quick. No.
Election officials were not aware of this form. They didn't seem to be aware of the procedure in using the form. So what we did, we took this copy, we asked the gentleman there if he would go make copies. He made many copies. We handed them to the presiding judge and told her and asked her, to contact the Board of Election about the proper procedure for this. She took our forms, and at that point she asked us to leave. Said that she had called the city prosecutor's office. We don't know exactly what she told them that we were doing, but she asked us to leave, and the presiding judge asked us to leave. We have to go. While we were doing this, some people waiting to cast provisional ballots heard all of this, and they asked me for a form. I gave them a form, so I know at least that they filled out the form. Whether the presiding judge has given it to anybody else, we have no idea now, since we're not allowed inside.
I'm gonna stand out here all night if it takes all night. It ain't nothing they can do. It ain't nothing nobody can do to stop me from voting. The weather can't stop me. The Republicans can't stop me. It ain't nothing they can do to stop me.
Where you dispatch next? Okay.
Little rain ain't gonna stop nobody.
That's it.
Ain't gonna stop nobody. We're here together.
Hang in there.
What do you say?
I've arrived at this polling place and found that people are waiting between 2 and 3 hours to vote. And it seems that the reason is a lack of sufficient number of machines. I also heard someone say that during the primaries there were 5 voting machines, and now there are only 3 voting machines.
The polling place opened up 10 minutes late. One of the machines wasn't working when the polling place opened up. We have 3 machines there. That third machine appears to be tougher to reset, so it appears to be slowing things up. We're advised by people in line that customarily this polling place has 6 polling booths. Currently it has 3.
Carry! Voter guide, baby! Voter guide!
We have a 2-hour wait, and
Everybody else got more machines,
and there's only 3 machines here. And she wanted to know is there any machines left?
And she said there was hundreds in the place where they
in a warehouse.
had the voting machines at.
And they won't give us no machines. And everybody else have machines, and we have 3.
Get somebody waiting. We're gonna wait. I'll wait all night. Don't make me no difference. But look at the other people that's gonna be here. That's just getting here now.
Yes, you got the elderly and everyone, right?
wins. No trends, no phony ass friends who begin with ends and end with
Hi,
ends.
I'm Cree Johnson and I'm with the Election Protection. We are here because I'm here because I got a complaint that there were people on the inside of this Friends Worship Center handing out Christian Coalition material supporting Bush, or telling you, you know, where he stands so that you'll vote for Bush and other issues important to the Republican Party.
Well, there's been long waits in line and everything, and people had to stay out in the rain because they only have 3 machines in here, and I would think.
About how long have people been waiting?
Average 3-4 hours just to get a vote in.
Found some great experiences. A 93-year-old woman who was here for 2 hours, waited and voted.
Excellent.
Some other folks who left because they couldn't stay. They were going to be late for work.
Glad to see people coming out. We have a lot of first-time voters. We have people who haven't voted in 15, 16 years. We've had people say they haven't voted in 2 presidential elections. So we're happy.
I would like to see more voting machines in churches like this so large masses of people can get in and vote and get out of here.
Earlier today, it was only 2.
Oh, there was?
And people had stood in line for like from 8 to like 11:30, and they had to come back.
How many people do you think left because of the wait?
I would say 25, 30 people left.
25, 30 people?
Right. At least they left.
Take my grandfather back home. He couldn't stand in line and wait. He's 90 years old.
You were there at what, 8 o'clock you said?
I was here at 8 o'clock this morning.
And how big was the line then?
It was to the end of the block there. So I had to take him back home. He couldn't stand that long. Now he's frustrated with it.
He won't do it.
He said the hell with it.
I moved 3 weeks ago and I called the Board of Elections to see where I could vote at. They told me that I could vote at Crestview Middle School. Well, I came to Crestview Middle School today and they told me that I could not vote here, that I had to go vote at Pontiac. So I went down to Pontiac and they also told me that I could not vote there. So I called the Board of Elections again. The Board of Elections tells me I have to go to Sawyer Tower.
You're back at the Board of Elections. They double checked you when they had you on the phone to verify that. You go in there and will you tell us what they told you?
They told me that I still was not allowed to vote. Vote here at Crestview.
So we called legal command again after we called them the first time, and she was sent back in. And they said now that her only resort is to try to cast a provisional ballot, which may not be counted.
We have 2 polling places right across the street from each other. Some people didn't know the proper precinct to vote at. Some people didn't know what poll to vote at. And this one, on this side of the street, Cassidy School, is only 1 precinct. Across the street, that polling place is 2 precincts. And some people went across the street and stood in that line for over 2 hours, only to get up to the point where they thought they would be signing the book and casting a vote, to find out that, oh no, you are at the wrong precinct, you have to go across the street.
So they were told that they could not check the log to see if they were registered at this site. They had to wait in line for several hours before they could check the book. Some discovered that they then were not on the log and were sent across the street or elsewhere to vote.
So that discouraged some people because that meant you had to stand in that line for 2+ hours, and then come over here and stand in this line for at least 2+ hours. And that's a bit much for some people. It would have been a lot easier if they were able to just announce the proper precinct, especially when you have polling places almost literally right next to each other.
They felt that no one has come out to inform them of what's going on. When we asked if we could just make announcements to the line that only D and G was over there and E was across the street, they said that someone had, made a half-hearted attempt at that earlier, but that we were not permitted to do that.
We've also had the problem of the people working the polling site have not accommodated people who have disabilities. So they have not been able to vote curbside. Some of those people cannot stand. Some of those people left, had to come back later in the day. Some of them, I don't know if they came back at all. Later in the day, earlier this afternoon, we were able to assist some people to get in and vote who had disabilities. So we did make a number of complaints. We complained to police officers in the area and asked them to go in and talk to the presiding judge. We also complained to the presiding judge personally and directly.
She explained to them that she had asthma and she had her medication with her, but they told her that they really couldn't do anything for her. They did offer her a metal chair, but you had to go into this very hot gymnasium and just move the chair along.
Some people are just walking away because they're saying they got to get home and intending to come back, but it's hard. 3 or 4 hour wait's a long time for a working family.
I've been here since the beginning the polls opened, except for the time that I had to go and vote myself. They have 3 machines in this precinct total for 1,100 registered voters. The wait times to vote have ranged anywhere from an hour to, right now we're up to 2.5 hour wait for people to vote. We have a line right now, and people have had to stand in the rain outside because this facility, this library, cannot hold the number of people in line. So people have been out in the rain all day to vote. And right now, as we're just past 6 o'clock, we have at least 150 people in line waiting to vote. And they're not going to be able to be let into the library until the library closes at 8 p.m. So these folks are still going to be out here for at least another 2 hours in the drizzle, waiting to cast their vote. But you gotta get your place in line and let them know that there has been no Republican challenger at this precinct, only a Democratic witness who has been very helpful. The poll workers have been very good, but with only 3 machines and with each voter taking approximately their allotted 5 minutes, they can only get 36 voters per hour through this precinct. So we have a huge backup of individuals who are all really wanting to cast their vote, but the waits are just excessive.
It goes down the hill?
Yeah, down back there's probably another 100 people back down the hill too.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm just photographing for election protection. I know, I'm documenting it.
Yeah, they're gonna pass out some food.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, now we're walking down a path into the woods, and the path is at least 100 or 200 feet from the door, and I don't know how many people this is.
We're waiting in line to vote.
Okay, I got it.
As the day went on from the 8 o'clock a.m. hour to about 9 to 10, the wait kept on going a little longer. Now here, people have been waiting for almost 2 hours. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours in line alone to vote.
And the reason that they were having to wait extra time, first they went to where their registration card told them to go, and they waited 3 hours there. Then they were told there to come here and cast a provisional ballot because they moved 2 weeks ago. And then they went through the whole line here, and they got to the front where they were supposed to vote, and they were given the provisional ballot itself, but they weren't allowed to vote. They were told they had to go back to the end of the line, and it was just too long to wait. They had 2 sick kids with them. Everybody was really hungry because they've been trying to do this since 2 o'clock. They were about to give up. And so we made these phone calls and found out that yes, they really are supposed to go to the front of the line, but there was not much we could do legally because I think this is possibly a new form of voter suppression. I've been hearing several complaints where people say I went through the entire line and then they told me that for one reason or another I had to go back and go through the line again. And it's just not right. But they persisted and they were able to vote.
I was one of these certified Democratic challengers, meaning my job was to watch the Republican challenger because we weren't challenging anybody. But frankly, I think my Republican counterpart was probably intimidated because had he actually challenged anybody, I think he probably would have been corrected by the voters who were waiting for 2.5 hours in line.
Because one of the things that we were finding out from a lot of areas is that a lot of people were denying them the right to vote because they said they didn't have their registration ID. And one of the laws that it is in the Ohio Voting Bill of Rights, this is number 5, and it says they are allowed to vote without showing their identification.
The biggest problem, I think, was there were only 3 machines for each of the 2 precincts in this particular gym. And given that everybody knew it was going to be a record turnout, there should have been more voting machines available and more volunteers. Simple practical things like putting the sign up to know which side of the gym your precinct was available at would have helped. Some ropes to rope off the line so that the A through L's wouldn't be frustrated when they found out that they were in the M through Z line.
And as you can see, if you look at the entrances, there's nothing to distinguish the 2 precincts. That's 3B, this is 35D. And so people come in and they get in whatever line and they wait 2-3 hours, they wait. And then they get to the front of the line, turns out they're in the wrong precinct and they get sent somewhere else.
There were a few instances where the poll workers didn't know the actual rules for provisional ballots. I had to chase 2 people into the parking lot to tell them that even though their names didn't appear on the registered rolls, if they believed that they had registered, and the 2 that I chased said that they had registered and this was their precinct, they had the right to cast a provisional ballot, if they filled out the correct affidavit. The poll workers weren't telling them initially. They simply would tell them you're not on the registry list, and either were telling them they couldn't vote or that they were to go to the Franklin County Board of Elections downtown, which will probably be another 3.5-hour line.
Under Ohio state law, a voter has the right to ask somebody to help her in the polling booth, the person of their choice, as long as it's not a union official or their boss. And the lady that I was talking about asked me to help her, and I was over there. We were waiting for her to go in the booth, and I got thrown out of that ward because they said that the NAACP is a partisan organization. And I told them about that state law that allows the voter to have somebody with her to help her if she wants, and they said that I had to leave. And I think they called the police because the police showed up right after that.
It was a long wait. And then when I got to the line, I had to go to the other side because I was in the wrong district. The lady tried to tell me I couldn't vote. She had to call downtown and everything because she said I went in her line before 7:30.
I just spoke to one woman who spent 2.5 hours this morning trying to vote. Her name wasn't on either of the precinct rolls for here, and she was told she'd have to cast a provisional ballot. She didn't have time.
Yeah, and they told me they were 99% sure that I was over here and not across the street. But then when I got at the end of the line over here, I kept on bouncing from one table to the other, and then they told me I had to end up voting, for the
provisional.
She's just shown up again and says that she's not going to be able to stick around another 2.5 hours waiting to cast the same ballot she could have cast this morning. So if they're not going to let her sneak in ahead, then she's not going to cast her vote. What they will have to do is make sure that in fact you were registered at this polling place, at this precinct. If so, then your vote will be counted. If you were at the wrong precinct and cast the vote, then it'll be discarded. You signed the affidavit for the provisional ballot?
The envelope and all.
Right, and you got a precinct officer to sign it also?
No. I had the envelope part and stuff.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you're here to vote, you need to get inside!
Right now!
Quickly!
Right now! Voters in! You better run!
To get inside.
People who come in now really have to be running to get in line.
You coming in, that's it! What's that,
No, that was the evil empire.
She's been harassing us and voters all day.
Is that That's the one.
That's
yeah.
the one.
She's the Republican challenger? Or she's the poll worker?
Were you here to vote?
Let's go across the see what's going on over there.
They closed the polls.
Why they closed?
Because they said they were going to close at 7:30.
There's still a lot of people coming though.
There's still a lot of people coming? That's what we hear. Were you working till now?
Huh?
Were you working till now?
Yeah.
I'm talking about over there, right off right there.
Did you come earlier today?
Yeah, just I get off now the job, because I don't finish it for my shift.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. And the lines have been long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the morning is too long and my shift is at 2 o'clock. We start at 2 o'clock. Until tonight 10. So I ask my supervisor, I go home, I go to 4, so I can late it.
Right. So you couldn't really get here earlier. Yeah.
Tony, wait, who's she? That's Jennifer Goldstein.
Even if I let you in, they're not going to let me go.
Yeah, I saw her.
Hey, Tony. Tony, you got it right here.
No, I don't believe that.
What happened?
She was in there and they would deny her to go back in.
I couldn't go
You
back
were in earlier?
I've been in there since 5:30 and I was about to pass out. I'm a diabetic. I need to come get some air, so I came outside. If I'd have known that, I never would have came outside.
And now they've told you you can't get back in line. Okay. Are you up to it? Let me see if we can get you in the door.
They told me they wouldn't let me back in, so.
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll stay outside.
No, you can't come in. The presiding judge is the only one.
7:42 p.m.
If I'd have known that, I never would have come.
This is my name's Brett.
It was my cell phone that used to you want me to take her yes, okay. Hi, sweetheart. Yeah, her grandfather. Oh, thank you. Let's go see Grandma. Okay, bye-bye.
I can't do anything for her now. I'm sorry. I can't do anything for her. I cannot do anything for her. Nothing that I can do.
Here's all we can do at this point.
I'll see you. Won't you
I'm sorry.
Ring the door quick. I need to come back and sign the thing or my vote don't count.
Let's get it turkey.
I hear that.
I need to see Brandon. They just called me and told me to come back up here and sign the paper where my vote don't count. This my baby. Yeah, make sure they let me in back to vote. Okay, thank you.